Our election coverage continues as Virginians continue casting those votes.
We head back out to the Capitol where our Bill Fitzgerald is field anchoring our coverage. And Bill, we only have a couple more hours until those polls close.
That is right, less than 2 hours, and that means we'll also start getting some results coming in right after that. I'm joined by our esteemed political analyst, Dr. Bob Halter. Bob, thanks for venturing out here to the Capitol today.
Great to be here tonight, Bill.
So tell us, what have you been watching in terms of trends in the big three state races?
Yeah, what we're seeing is that Abigail Spanberger seems to have a comfortable lead in every poll that we've seen. It would be a shocker if she didn't win, and didn't win with somewhat comfortably tonight. At the same time, she's running ahead of her two ticket mates, somewhat ahead of Ghazala Hashmi, a lot ahead we've seen with Jay Jones. And that may be the big race tonight that everybody's going to be watching in Virginia.
CBS 6 News at 7:30 starts with a breaking news alert.
This was a dark and excruciating night in our nation's capital and in our nation's history, and a tragedy of terrible proportions.
One of the most shocking tragedies to impact our state, region, and nation in a generation. A deadly collision between an Army helicopter and a commercial passenger plane on final approach to Reagan National Airport in Arlington. We continue to learn more about last night's deadly crash and the investigation. Thanks for joining us here at 7:30. I'm Bill Fitzgerald. We have complete team coverage tonight on the collision that has left 67 people presumed dead. But first, CBS News correspondent Erica Brown has the latest on the investigation. Richmond's local skating community, like so many skating communities across the nation, is mourning the loss of the contingent of skaters, coaches, and families on board that plane they knew or knew of, who they say are all part of a tight-knit family. I stopped by Richmond Ice Zone this afternoon and spoke to two coaches who say the tragedy is devastating.
We don't really think of each other as different countries in figure skating. We're all just one giant group.
The scene at Richmond Ice Zone Thursday was one you might see at any rink across the country. Skaters of different skill levels, all working at the sport they love.
One of my very best friends that works in this town is, as I said before, from Ukraine. And she and I even competed against each other, not knowing that we did when we first met. That's how long ago we had met.
For Eric Meyer, those bonds made Wednesday night's aviation disaster feel like a family tragedy.
The entire ice skating community is hurting.
That hurt came to Meyer, a former competitive skater and coach who's the operations manager at Richmond Ice Zone, on what had been his routine drive to work.
When I was listening to the news and I heard about the plane crash, and right at the tail end, it was almost like an afterthought that there were figure skating people on there, and that it was in D.C., I got a bad feeling, and you just hoped. You know, I texted a lot of people in D.C. just saying, please tell me you're alive.
Meyer says he had just gotten out of his car when the messages started coming about Sasha Kirsanov, a fellow coach who was also a former skater who was on board that American Airlines flight.
One of my students who trained here with me for 10 years texted me, and whenever you get a text that says, call me, and that's it, and there's been a tragedy, you know, okay, I should probably call this girl. So I called her, and she was upset. She was best friends with Sasha's daughter, and she just wanted to let me know.
For me, I know one of the coaches. I've gotten to work with him in the past. I know he lost 3 of his students in the crash, and a lot of friends.
Casey Jefferson, a coach and manager at Richmond Ice Zone and a former competitor himself, says he knows a lot of skaters and coaches will be using their work to honor their lost friends and team members.
As we're skating, performing, we emote so much emotion and bring a lot of that out, and skating can be healing in that.
The Richmond School Board voted last night to create a so-called safe zone in schools to protect students' rights should agents from Immigration and Customs Enforcement come to a school. But what can the policy actually do? Immigration advocates say it's not clear that ICE enforcement measures have actually been stepping up, but the fear from the directives issued by the new administration, that they say is real. And that's what the Richmond school policy now addresses. The Richmond School Board says a safe zone will ensure that any federal law enforcement action will follow the same guidelines local police follow. Before coming to a school, a request must be made to the superintendent, who will check its legality. Requests for information about a student also must be presented to the superintendent. Schools will not maintain information about immigration status, and the school system will create a rapid response unit within 30 days to help should any child be deprived of a parent or guardian because of a federal law enforcement action. The ACLU sent us a statement this morning supporting Richmond's action. They told us, "We applaud RPS's leadership in ensuring all students have a safe and welcoming learning environment, regardless of immigration status. We encourage all Virginia school districts to use RPS's policy as guidance for how they can do the same for their students, parents, and communities." Indeed, last week, an ACLU attorney told us communities need to reassure citizens and non-citizens alike.
People are fearing that, at any moment they could be separated from their children, from their parents, from their loved ones, and are unsure about what their rights are. And that's why we are trying to, encourage the community that, about what their rights are, as we've always done at the ACLU of Virginia. But especially now, we feel that folks need to be prepared.
So advocates urge the immigrant community to continue to send their children to schools, to the doctor or the hospital, and that should they have any questions or unaddressed fears, to speak to an immigration attorney. The year is not over, but it seems likely Henrico County will have a significant crime statistic to celebrate, a more than 90% drop in homicides. Through the start of this month, there have just been 2 all year. I spoke to county leaders and neighbors about why that might be.
You can let the kids outside, and it's like I said, that laughter from children is very refreshing.
I also can say it's safer to be outside. Even if you just have an emergency, you got to walk to the store. Now you can actually walk alone, but last year you couldn't.
People living in Henrico County's Fairfield district say things seem different this year.
It's pretty safer. As you can see, we got a lot of police patrol now, more in Henrico. They really hands-on more. They help a lot more. The response time is quicker, very quicker.
Malcolm Lee just learned an eye-popping statistic that may explain why his neighborhood feels so much safer. All of Henrico has seen only 2 homicides through early December this year, compared to 22 last year, which, if it holds up, would be a 91% drop.
I thought he was talking about fiscal year, which starts July and not January, and knowing where we've been the last few years.
Even Henrico Supervisor Tyrone Nelson was shocked when he heard that number from the police chief.
Building up the communities has always happened regardless of crime, but this year, we're able to tout that our communities are safe.
Given that Henrico has averaged just over 20 homicides a year over the past 5 years, how does Chief Eric English explain the drop in 2025?
We started to see a trend in terms of gun seizures over the past few years, where our officers have been very proactive. I've been doing a lot of traffic enforcement. They've taken a lot of guns off the street, a lot of illegal firearms.
English says a variety of other factors may play a role as well, pointing out detectives have been able to close robbery and shooting cases quickly.
We've also focused in some areas that are more vulnerable for gun violence than others. And so over the years, we've really concentrated in those areas, and we're starting to see those areas experience a lot of the reduction in violence.
English also gives a nod to the public, which he says has been helpful in providing information about violence in their communities. And new tools make analyzing crime data much easier.
Technology has been really, really huge as well. Between license plate readers, our NIBIN machine that's able to connect different shootings, I think has played a huge role in helping us reduce the gun violence and homicides we've seen.
While the specific reason may be elusive, English acknowledges luck may also be playing a part, pointing out the number of shootings, 34, is close to last year's 39.
Now, don't get me wrong, there's been shootings that we've had where people have gotten shot, and we've been fortunate, you know, with the number of rounds that have been fired, that people haven't been seriously injured.
Whatever the reason, Supervisor Nelson says this current trend provides something to build on.
Whether it's having more things for our young people to do, we've got community walks that happen every month where public safety spreads out with elected officials. We walk in neighborhoods, knocking doors. We've got community revitalization out there.
And local residents agree.
I've been in Henrico for about 15 years, and I can say that this year has been totally different, totally different.
So I'm very proud of Henrico County. From 22 to 2, that's a good job. Keep it up.
And here's to a quiet December throughout all of Central Virginia.
You know, Bill came, he says, am I early? Am I late? You're not late.
Right on time.
We're always on time.
You always wake up early when it's Bike MS Day, so that was not going to be an issue.
I know. You know, you've been doing this since it started, and we all know the story. Just tell some of our viewers why you've been doing this.
So my mother-in-law, my wife's beautiful, sweet mom, died from MS in 2012. So ever since, starting in 2013, I've been riding to find a cure, and especially to help people get services who have MS in our area in Central Virginia.
Number 2 fundraiser.
Number 2 fundraiser. Number 1 is always just out of reach, but the community has been so supportive, and our viewers have been supportive, and I'm so grateful.
And we'll get you there soon, right?
That's right. That's right.
Chartreuse Berry is new to our area. Welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Coming from the D.C. area.
Yes, thank you.
And so how has it been so far? You know, the community here just rallies around everything.
Yeah, they do. It's been fantastic. I mean, Richmond and Williamsburg and the entire South Central Virginia area is amazing, and we serve over 20,000 people living with MS, and we're trying to find a cure for people like Amy's mom, unfortunately, who lost her battle with MS, but there's over 1 million people living with multiple sclerosis.
And that's why it's so important, this ride.
It's critical, very, very important. We will raise over $650,000 to help us find a cure, to provide programs and services. So this is really, really important. We're so grateful for people like Bill and all the cyclists here. We've got over 400 cyclists that will be participating.
And when we come back at 7:30, we're going to see them ride and talk a little bit more about the ride, the organization, how folks can help, right?
Perfect.
All right,
perfect. Thank you.
Bill, we would love seeing you ride. Congratulations. You're only doing 75 miles, right?
Yeah, I'm holding myself back from the 100 this year. I'll be doing 75.
All right, well, we're going to wish you luck on that.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We're hearing from many of you concerned about how you found out about the boil water advisory via friends, a colleague, the news, or social media.
Richmond city leaders say there is an easy way to find out quickly about any emergency within city limits. Sign up for the Richmond Ready Alert system. Our Bill Fitzgerald shows us how to do that.
If you live and work in Richmond, you want to know what the city is trying to tell us in an emergency situation. In February, they rolled out this new app that supposedly makes it a whole lot easier to find out super speedy quick. So as somebody who's not that technically savvy, I hear my kids over my shoulder right now saying, "Dad, you're doing it wrong." With that in mind, I'm going to sign up for the new Ready Alert system that Richmond says is going to let us all know the minute something goes wrong. I know you're also thinking, really? Could anything go wrong in Richmond? Well, with our second water crisis, multiple day crisis in less than 5 months, yeah, I'm going to sign up. All right, so I basically just went to rva.gov, and right there on the home page, underneath 2025 water crisis is Richmond Ready Alert. So get notified, stay informed. I'm clicking that. At the very bottom, it says register for Richmond Ready Alerts. It's taking me to another page. Create an account. First name, Bill. Last name, a username. Make up a password. Saved. Okay, so it's saving. And it's got a security question, of course, as these things should. Where are you born? So I'm going to put that in there. Look, enter your primary location. And I'm going to put in my address. So far, it's pretty straightforward. Obviously, I'm just putting in the rudimentary stuff. So contact information, you can just plug that in, obviously. So, all right, I accept the terms of use and create account. Oh, I made a few errors. That's never happened to me before. Oh, this username already exists. There's a Bill Fitz out there, who knew? And I think that was the only error. Create account. Come on, account. So I'm going to save and continue. So it'll give you choices. I mean, I was just thinking of the community safety alert. Obviously, I want to know if there's a boil water advisory or something else. Maybe it's something else equally catastrophic. So I'm going to click on community safety alerts. It also has weather alerts. Now, I trust our Zach Daniel, but could it hurt to have an extra weather alert? I don't think so. I'm going to put that one on too. All right. I'm just reviewing my profile now. Location, subscription, edit, finish. I think I did it. I'm Richmond Ready.